This is a summer case, but it's not a fun summer case. We're going to cover an unsolved mystery today.
Looks like two men abducted a child. That's where I think
Yeah.
the story is going.
And this would be one of the last nights the three boys are ever seen alive. The truth is that this trip was not planned, and none of their friends or family had any prior knowledge of this U.S. trip. It was Fowler who squinted and then realized what they were looking at: sleeping bags on the tracks.
And why would they even sleep on a track?
Are the people that were investigating this stupid?
And I just find it extremely unlikely that three young men in the 70s would be spooning
cuddling?
each other.
Yeah. Say it's July.
It's
like,
summer.
they probably, if anything, want to be away from each other.
There was no movement whatsoever. He saw the boys with a roll of money.
Do we have any proof that when the boys were dropped off, that they were dropped off unharmed?
What's an easy way to kind of cover up these three murders that I've done? I thought that every death that's suspicious is treated as such until you know for sure.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coast Files, your podcast for ocean mysteries and true crime. I'm Chantel.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Megan, and please like, share, subscribe, sign up for coffee, follow us on Instagram,
We
send us
beg
money,
you.
visit us, come to my house, do whatever you can to support this podcast. We love you so much for it. And it's helping us get like a little bit further along into some really cool new potential levels. We're trying to
And
level
if you
up.
do all those things, we'll stop saying that.
Well,
Yes.
maybe.
Well,
maybe we'll
if
say
the
it
whole
less.
world signs up, then
Yeah,
we'll stop.
We'll say it
but-
less. We'll say it less.
So as
Do
Chantel
we still
said,
have a code,
oh,
by the way? Do we still have a code?
I
for...
believe so. And
Yeah,
if memory serves, it's Coast Files 20.
Yes.
Please
on-
refer to the Instagram account.
Yeah, there you
Yes.
go.
And that code is for a Fox Crafts on Etsy, where our listener and amazing subscriber Alex makes she makes amazing t-shirts, number one, and she makes awesome earrings, and she's just a very creative ocean lover. So go check out her store,
Yeah.
even if you just like follow
Thank
her
you
store.
for
give
the
her some love.
reminder, 'cause I need to buy something, and I know
There you
I'm
go.
I have the
Oh,
T-shirt from
hold
her.
on, my
but-
dad's calling me. Let me just say,
Oh, he always calls you during this.
hey Dad,
He
I'm actually
knows.
recording the
Hi,
podcast right now. Can I
Papa.
call you after?
Hi, Papa. My first one.
Papa.
Okay, I love you, Dad. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so Dad has this thing where he sometimes, and you can leave all this in, this is really cute. He is driving home from work, and in that like 45, 1 hour, he'll call each of his kids and say hi.
Aw, that's
That's
so
so
nice.
It's not all the
Sweet.
time, but it's once in a while he's going to do a little check-in. I think I'm going to go over there
Yeah.
this weekend, and me and him and Lily and Aaron are going to hang out and have a little movie night.
Nice.
That's the plan.
Oh, nice. Can I
Um,
come?
Oh my God.
I'll just come.
Actually,
Can I fly in?
I'll just be
Tom?
there.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to recreate
Just like last
the
minute, be like,
football
can I
night, Super
bring
Bowl.
some friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know my dad would
You don't know them.
freaking love it? Yeah, you
Yeah,
never read them.
pretty
Actually,
much.
neither have either from the internet.
Yeah.
Okay, but actually though, yes, you can always come.
Yeah.
And Chantel, if you actually want to come, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I think it's
sure
going to
we'll
be
figure
just
it out
me.
one of these
Okay,
days.
well, we're going to circle back.
Okay,
Um,
we're gonna circle back to that. We're here
So-
for a purpose today.
So as this episode comes out, we're probably not officially in summer, which is illegal in June 21st. Summer starts like, to me, May, because I'm hot, therefore it's summer. So this is a summer case, but it's not a fun summer case, but it's one that I've heard about kind of growing up, and I want to look into it. And so we're going to cover an unsolved mystery today.
I love this.
Can I just
They
say
make me
that
so mad.
It's
But
not,
but-
yes.
it's not officially
exactly.
unsolved, but like, I'll
Okay.
tell you,
Okay.
it
So
is
we might know.
unsolved. It's unsolved. Like it's,
Can we solve
On
it?
the books, it's unsolved, but it's
I don't think it's solvable.
Oh.
Makes
Okay.
me sad.
I'm intrigued.
It's very sad. So let me paint the scene here.
Okay.
School's out and warm summer weather creeps in. You're with your friends, but it's more like an ocean of teens and young adults from the neighborhood more who ebb and flow in from the Ashby area, Sydney River, and Sydney proper on Cape Breton Island. You may not know everyone as a close friend, but faces are familiar. You share cigarettes, laughs. You all go to the same coffee house and the same community hall for dances. It was early summer 1970 in Sydney, Nova Scotia, my hometown. But Whitney Pier
heard of it.
specifically, which is a neighborhood that was a little more like blue collar working class, as if Cape Breton wasn't all blue collar working class. At this time, parents roughly, more or less, know where their kids are. It was the 70s.
Yeah.
You had kids, and then it was up to them to take care of themselves.
Yeah, like come home by dusk.
Lights
Right?
out.
Yeah, street lights come on.
Or lights on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not lights out.
If you see lights, come home.
Yeah.
The kids are in this group. They're about 15 years old, roughly, and this is old enough to hitchhike not over. Let me
Hello?
Jalapeno.
Wait, what was that?
I had a mini stroke.
Yeah.
Okay. Parents roughly, more or less, know where their kids are, and 15 years old is old enough to hitchhike not only all over the island of Cape Breton, but even to the United States. While it's hard to imagine now, young people would hitch a ride all over as a standard method of transportation. Crossing over into New England wasn't all that unusual.
Huh.
It was the second week of July when three friends had successfully made their way to a very popular beach and campground, Inkanish Beach.
Oh.
That's the only
Ooh,
mention
sounds
of this beach.
familiar.
But I'm like, roughly a 2-hour drive from Sydney, the biggest city on the island. Terry Burt, age 20, Kenny Novak, age 15, and David Burroughs, age 17, had planned on a week-long camping trip to officially kick off the summer. So photo 1, we have a picture of the boys, but I want to describe these to you and give you some context on these boys.
But
Okay?
I'm just gonna, can I just ask,
Yeah.
Kenny, this is an old
This
photo?
it looks like he's like
I'm going to get it
10.
So
yeah,
I
Kenny is like 6 and the rest of them are...
So I had cropped it. I can't explain to you why there are no other photos. Again, this was in the 70s where, people are taking film photos and they exist. But I guess if the family didn't have any recent ones, they didn't want to share. But these are the most consistently shared photos of these
Okay.
boys. Kenny Novak literally looks like he's 9.
Yeah.
So this is a very old photo. And it said that originally when the photo lineup was put together. So he was 15 in reality, and in this photo he's easily
Not.
9 or maybe 10. David Burroughs is in the middle. He's 17 at the time of the story. He could be about 17 here.
Yeah.
And Terry Burt on the end is 20. This is also, I think, a younger photo.
Yeah, okay.
But it's kind of all we have to work with. So imagine them be like, teens and 20-year-olds, not like a literal child.
Yeah, it looks like 2 men abducted a child. That's where I think
Yeah.
the story is going.
Not
I mean,
the
Terry looks
case.
young too, but definitely way
He
older than
does,
Kenny.
yeah.
Well, as women in our advanced 30s, they were all infants.
Take that back. That is slander. Advanced 30s?
It's the truth. I'm just trying to
I know.
make peace
When
with
we
it.
were like 36, 37, I was like still mid. Now
No, I'm
like,
counting it
we've-
as mid. Sorry. Until I'm 38 and a
Threshold.
half, I am
Okay.
mid.
I am
When I have until
38.
your birthday. by
I'm
your
nearly
standards.
38 and a half
Thank
right
you.
now. I feel it's coming.
Yeah.
Anywho, this is not about me. This is about no, these boys here.
It's about these boys, yes.
So David was easygoing. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He was still kind of figuring out who he was and kind of how he wanted to express himself on the outside. He was a little more conservative compared to the others in the group, but he started getting more into the hippie culture, which for him meant growing his hair out. His parents literally threatened to kick him out because he was growing his hair.
Oh
So,
my God.
This is how
God.
insane this is. I mean, they didn't do it.
Wild.
But like, I mean, we grew up in the 90s where no one had, all the boys had long, like, skater hair. And imagine growing your hair out, and that was like a big point of contention.
Oh my God. I saw a kid
'cause
the other
you're
day.
a rebel.
I know,
Yeah.
it's coming back. The hockey
I
hair.
saw a kid the other day he was on a scooter and he was like somewhere between 11
Fred
and
Durst.
13 and he had the biggest emo bangs I've ever seen. And I was like,
Oh my
this makes me
gosh.
so happy.
Yeah, bring it back.
I mean,
I don't want it because my hair doesn't part very well, like on the heart, like a big side part.
You have to just work it. A lot of hairspray and gel.
I always wanted to be like have that scene hair, but I just couldn't bring myself to
Chantal, if you
damage
take
it in
yours
that way.
right now and just
Yeah,
lower
push it down.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it
you
just
could
needs
almost
to be
do
a
it.
bit bigger.
Yes.
But
And I remind you that when I met you, you were wearing paper clips in your ears. So
Yeah.
you were alt. You were a little alt.
Yes. Do you guys ever make like toothbrush bracelets? Like you boil them and then you like pick out
my
the
God.
bristles
no, but I
and-
remember
That
that.
was
I remember
so
those.
freaking
Yeah.
cool. Okay, wow.
No, but I
I'm
used
just
to
learning
take
a
actually
the
lot.
were kinda cool.
chain. I used to take the chain. Remember those little beaded chains from like that would hold your plug over your sink? I wore those as bracelets.
Just too cool for
wow.
us.
I had like the longest one ever. I remember I used to wrap it around my my wrest every morning. Blah, blah, blah.
The
Like,
2000s
Your
was
mom's
a
like,
weird
"Where's
time."
the drain? Where's the
why
Like,
why
I don't
is
know.
the thing always missing?
So Terry, at the time, had a John Lennon look, which I'm sure Lindsay would have appreciated. He had long hair, round
Well,
glasses.
now I know John Lennon was an asshole.
Oh,
So
yeah, but
yeah.
but the
Who
vibe,
wasn't?
like we can appreciate the look at least. Terry
Yes.
was pleasant and polite. He was a little quiet, more on the serious side, and he drove a prize Harley motorcycle,
Oh,
which was kind
cool.
of cool to be a young guy and have a bike like that's pretty awesome.
Motorcycle, yeah.
So Kenny was the complete opposite of Terry, personality-wise. He was coming from nearby Sydney River, which he would hitchhike from. Now, if you're driving, it could be like a 10 or 15-minute ride. If you're hitchhiking, who knows? And he was like a young person, so coming all the way on his own was like insane to me. But I mean, I guess, you know, it was 70s.
I could not have been a mother in the 70s.
No,
like, my kids would be like, why are you the only mom who doesn't like hitchhiking?
I don't even think
And-
mothers were mothers in the 70s. They were just like doing their own thing.
Yeah, how low was that bar? Like, did I just, you know,
Well,
have
did the
to
kids
provide
eat-
food at sometime during the day, and
Yeah.
they would just trickle in?
I remember not being allowed to come inside and being told if I want water, drink from the hose. And that was in the
I definitely
90s.
remember drinking from the hose.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that we weren't allowed. We were
Yeah.
just like, we lived in an apartment building. It wasn't a huge apartment building. It was like, you know,
Mm.
5 units. But we didn't want to run inside to go and get water. So we just drank from the hose.
I think that
Did
was
we even
mostly...
drink water as kids? Like, I
Well,
don't
hardly.
remember
Hardly
drinking
ever.
any
After
water.
we rode our bikes around the block enough times,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I needed some water.
I remember
Remember
going
we
through
did, like,
the Sunny D.
sorry, the Terry Fox run, and at the end they would give us that orange drink.
From like McDonald's? Yes.
Yeah, and it
We
was like
legally
the most
can't call it juice.
unhydrating drink ever. It was like syrup.
It actually took hydration away from you.
It very,
But
it
it was-
very
I
likely
like-
did.
I liked it because I like
course.
orange pop, but it was like a flat orange pop.
Yes.
I didn't
Wait,
love
Lindsay,
that.
this is not in the plastic juice container with the foil top.
No.
It came in a
that's
big jug, and they would give
came
you
in a
like a
big-
little
yeah.
like those little
cup of it.
upside down triangle, you know.
Yes, the
cones.
paper
Cones.
cones.
Yeah, or sometimes other cups, but I think the cone cups were
Ah,
popular. So you couldn't put it
Childhood.
down; you had to chug it.
That's a very core memory for you. I didn't want the juice, but I
She's
had
like-
the juice.
Let's get out the juice.
Um,
So sorry,
okay,
sorry.
That's okay. So back to Kenny. So like I said, he was hitchhiking all the way in from Sydney River, which, you know, if you're hitchhiking, would have been quite the trek. He would come and he would hang out Whitney Pier. He was always cracking jokes, very lively, very easy to like, just a very outgoing, popular guy. There is a story that the gang were volunteering at the local rec center, helping to set up for a dance in exchange for free admission. Smart. You help set up, you get it for free.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mississippi Queen by Mountain is played by the DJ. I love that song. If I remember, I'll
song.
put it on the Instagram post.
Okay.
And so the DJ was doing that while he was kind of like prepping for a set later on that night. Kenny jumps on the stage, starts dancing like in beat to the cowbell at the beginning. And he earned a rare
More
smile and laugh
cowbell.
from the very serious Terry. And it was a really great memory. And this would be one of the last nights the three boys are ever seen alive.
Oh my God.
It just shows you how quickly things change. They went from having a fun time at a dance, start of summer, and then things go very awry. After only 1 or 2 nights at the Inkanish campground, the group of 3 decided to abandon their current plan and instead hitchhike to the U.S., and a fourth friend, Alan, decided to head home, likely saving his life. It's never made
Wow.
clear who decided to change the plan or what the reason was. A few theories involve purchasing drugs from a source over the border, and I'll get to these later, visiting a girl in Washington, D.C., or looking for potential short-term work. But the truth is that this trip was not planned, and none of their friends or family had any prior knowledge of this U.S. trip.
That's
So
a
the guy
really
who went
far
home doesn't
trip.
know? Yeah.
No, so Alan says he remembers the plan kind of coming up. He can't really quite remember, you know, what the sole reason was. And he was like, no, I'm good. I don't really feel like going down to the States. Like, I don't have any crap. Like, I want to come camp. So he decided to go home.
Weird.
Very
Yeah.
weird.
It takes hours just to get to Sydney from Halifax.
2 hours
so
to drive
go-
from Sydney to
I-
this place. And now you're
Yeah.
even further up the island. And
Yeah.
let me tell you their trip. So now the group was already kind of packed down with their camping equipment. So that helped, I guess. They made their way through mainland Nova Scotia, through New Brunswick. Then they illegally crossed the border into northern Maine. So They're camping.
Illegally.
They're hitchhiking. Yeah, they didn't cross at a border. They crossed like through the woods and on side
Oh,
streets.
wow.
It's the 70s.
Okay.
But
Crazy.
you still
Yeah,
need
it's
it.
crazy that they would be able to like kind of figure that out without like, I guess,
There's
the-
actually tons of spots in Canada where you can do that. Like it's just woods, but like
Okay.
it's not. Don't do
Yeah,
it.
that's
but like
fair,
you
yeah.
can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think they would have had like a map and like
Like,
just thinking.
right?
I'm
like
just so used to having a map at my disposal.
well, I'll
which-
I'll get to it. I think they did have a paper map, but the thought
Yeah.
of me trying to read a paper map to get anywhere is like laughable.
at
I
this point.
remember moving to Toronto.
I was good. I
And-
wasn't
I was
even
gonna
gonna
say, I'm
say
like, what?
anything with a hard second
I've lived
T.
here long enough that
As
I
long
should
as
say
you
Toronto.
correct your pronunciation for our listeners.
God.
Yeah.
So-
The second T stands for tourist.
And I like we had to come over, and I had a crappy cell phone that Google Maps barely worked on at the time, and
Yahoo
we were
Maps.
going through construction in Montreal, and it was like taking us on this detour, and I had like a paper map, and I was like, thank God I have this paper map, because this was a time when Google Maps wasn't updating. But even then, the paper map, there was all these new roads that weren't on this paper map, and I was like, I don't know, everything's in French, just keep going.
Yeah.
Let's hope we're going the right way.
It's gonna stop right now.
We'll see Toronto eventually.
Worst case, we stop. We have a little poutine. We get back on
Yeah.
the road later.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
we'll
but
be
like we
fine.
were in areas that were like very French, like they're not going to speak
Yeah.
English, so it was one of those like. Ooh,
At least you knew you were in
we'll see what
Quebec,
happens.
which is close.
Yeah,
It's half
we
the
were
battle.
supposedly heading the right way. but
Also,
yeah,
for all of
no, I
our
just-
American listeners, just because you're Canadian does not mean you speak French. Yes, you
Yeah.
were forced to take French up until what age 10, maybe even
Yes,
age 12.
which only maybe one of the three of us liked.
Lindsay.
hated it.
And I feel like out of spite, I just deleted all the information out of my head. I mean, like, fuck you, French. It's because I was
Mhm.
forced to learn it. I'm sure it'd be
Mhm.
fun to learn if I chose it, but that's not what happened. Okay,
fair.
let's go back to Maine, where they speak
'Kay.
primarily English, I would assume. This is a very isolated place. Think woods, very few roads, less people. They were lucky enough to hitch a ride with a kind local who already had another hitchhiker in the car, and this shaved a few kilometers off their walk to help them avoid border security. They were dropped off near some train tracks deep in the woods by request instead of the nearest town, Holton, Maine. It was the driver. So Holton's the main town just off of the border. So they're
Okay.
like, we don't want to be anywhere near there in case the feds are crawling or I don't know, whatever they were thinking. It was the driver, Royden Hunt, who led local police to believe their impromptu trip was drug related. One of the boys unexpectedly told Hunt they're not carrying any drugs, despite Hunt never asking about drugs.
Okay,
So it's like methinks
that is a little odd. Yeah,
he doth protest too much.
Protest too much.
We don't have any drugs. So what do you mean? No drugs.
Yeah,
Uh,
sweating.
drugs? What?
Drugs? Never heard of them.
Around 11:45 p.m., the three Cape Breton boys climbed out of the truck, headed into the woods near the rail route, claiming they want to stay off the roads, again, to possibly avoid law enforcement. And now we come to Friday morning, July 10th, just before 7 a.m. Conductor Earl W. Capin is keeping a consistent speed of 64 kilometers per hour, 40 miles per hour for all of our American listeners. Keeping the speed of the 19-car freight train as they move through the quiet northern Maine woods. The onboard fireman, Ralph Fowler, joins him in the locomotive cab. As the train rounded a fairly sharp corner, Captain thinks he sees some debris on the tracks, maybe a rubber mattress. It was Fowler who squinted and then realized what they were looking at. Sleeping bags on the tracks, about 150 feet ahead of them. They blast the horn. They slam the brakes. The bags do not stir. They don't move at all. Despite doing everything they could possibly do in their power, 800 tons of steel can't be stopped on a dime. All 19 cars do, in fact, run over what would be discovered as
Oh
3
my
sleeping bags,
God.
each containing one of the Cape Breton boys. The train wouldn't even stop or come to a complete stop until hundreds of feet later.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
Horrendous.
Jesus.
Oh.
It was the most upsetting scene you could possibly imagine. I have found detailed descriptions. I'm only going to briefly describe it. You can likely fill in the gaps. You may not want to. The 3 boys were dismembered and crushed, 2 being so damaged they could not even recognize their faces. Their
my
belongings
God.
were shredded and tossed on both sides of the tracks, as well as carried down the track by the train. Items and pieces of boys and belongings were thrown into the surrounding trees and grass.
Jesus.
If you want to look at
Oh
photo
my
2,
God.
there is a map of where the direction of the main town, where the boys were
Okay.
dropped off, and then where they were eventually hit by the train.
Oh
So, I
my
mean, they
God.
didn't
Man.
cover much ground. They pretty much got dropped off, walked a bit, and then I guess decided to stop.
Or
We'll get
did they?
into it. So authorities were quickly called, and they set out to identify the bodies and figure out how this could have happened. This is a weird thing to pronounce. Is it Aroostook? It's Aroostok. Aroostook? Someone
Sure.
in Maine can let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Aroostook County Police began their investigation and quickly found there was no identification found at the scene. But they did find Canadian branded food, cigarettes, some stationery from a hotel in New Brunswick, and about $5 in Canadian currency. So likely these people were Canadian. With no ID, 2 of the bodies barely recognizable as such. It was actually a sleeping bag that would be the key to identifying the campers. This I found heartbreaking. There was a hand-sewn label in Terry's sleeping bag that said Terry Burt, 54 Connaught Street, Sydney, Nova Scotia.
Oh,
Like he
wow.
wrote, like maybe his mom put that in his
Probably his
sleeping
mom
bag.
Yeah.
did.
So then this just confirmed what they had suspected, that they were from Canada. And then they're deducing, Nova Scotia, since it said they were on the tag. Based on reporting by the Cape Breton Post, the attitude of the police who investigated were sympathetic, but essentially these were just hippies who made the poor decision of sleeping on the tracks. It was a tragic accident, nothing more.
Oh yeah,
They-
just asleep.
They
Just
originally
asleep and
thought
can't
that
hear
these were all
horns.
men. Okay.
Right.
So we're going to get into this.
And why would they even sleep on a track?
You're
like, you
right.
could
Yeah,
say-
let me
asking.
just. This
If you're
sounds
following
like
the
a
track,
great
that makes
place.
sense.
But
Sleeping
maybe
on the track.
beside it,
Right.
not on it.
Following it and then taking the sleeping bags off the track.
Are they stupid? Are the people that were investigating this stupid?
They, well, I'm going to tell you in a second. They essentially wanted it off their hands as fast as possible. They're like, oh, they're
course.
Canadians. Let's move
Get
this
them out of
move
here.
this on.
Yeah.
So they ruled out foul play almost immediately. They didn't really ever investigate anything. They just said, oh, accident. Here we go.
Because then they would have had to do work.
So they seem to have worked as fast as possible to get Terry, David, and Kenny back to their families in Cape Breton without ever treating their deaths as anything other than death by misadventure. It was not even considered, even in a passing way. It was like, well, what an accident. Autopsies were performed on the boys, and surprisingly, there were no traces of drugs or alcohol. So to me, there goes that whole hippie mentality of, oh, they're just, super high
messed
and they
up.
didn't know what they were doing. It didn't quite fit their theory that these kids were the druggy hippie types who likely passed out after choosing a dangerous place to sleep. If you're extremely strung out on stuff, like people sleep on sidewalks, people
Yeah,
will make.
sure.
Yeah, but this is not the case here at all.
But also just like perfectly in a row in sleeping bags.
It gets
Yeah.
weirder. Hence why, to me, I'm saying this is unsolved, because listeners, please let me know what you think. I don't think I'm crazy. I can tell just based on the 2 of your reactions that you're also in agreement. So let me just keep going. It was incredibly difficult to determine the true cause of death since the bodies were so damaged and destroyed, although there were numerous specific injuries that were noted and they were all consistent with a train fatality. It's one of those things where there's not a lot of body to really do a thorough exam to look for, like, things are broken, so it's like, okay, yes, it looks like a train could have done all of this. The medical examiner reported that it was very likely the boys were killed on impact, as they could not locate any evidence of previous injuries that would have caused death prior to train impact. But, like, what does that mean? And if pieces are missing and crushed, could that not have obstructed? You know what I'm getting at?
I think it
I would
must be at
so.
least difficult to determine that.
Which they agreed, but they also said, like, look at all this damage. It was the train. I'm like, well, the train did all that damage.
The damage.
but
Yeah. What
were
was the damage
they-
before?
but were
What
they
could you
dead?
not tell was before?
So the families of Terry. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And like, could they also see? I'm not sure what the technology was in the 70s, but how much time actually passed from death?
the rage, Lindsay. Just hold on to that. Hold on to
Okay.
that very normal thought. May I remind that Lindsay has never gone to medical school. She's just a normal human who's had that very normal thought, okay? The families of Terry, David, and Kenny were obviously devastated and very
Mm-hmm.
confused. If you remember, they had no idea that their kids had made it all the way to Maine. They thought they were still camping at Ingonish Beach. Imagine getting that call. We
Wow.
found your
Mm-hmm.
kids on a railroad in Maine. They have all been killed by this train. And you're like, no, my kids are at the beach.
Yeah,
Like
you're
Yeah.
crazy.
one,
Yeah.
I forget who it was, but one of their moms even drove them and dropped them off. So like, no, my kids are safe.
Yeah.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. Back in the 1970s, especially in a small town, those in a place of authority were kind of trusted without much skepticism. So while the family had some questions, and some of the family members, especially a brother, who I'll talk about a little bit later, thought that there's more to the story. In general, the families just wanted to grieve in private, start their healing process, and they didn't want to push. They just kind of said, this
Mm-hmm.
is terrible, but I trust that the cops know what they're doing. So let's
Mhm.
just accept this. Let's
Right.
move
If they
on.
said it was something else, then I would agree, but they haven't.
Because like we've all heard of these stories where family members, the term obsess is not correct, but it becomes their whole life trying to figure out, and it does consume
Mm-hmm.
them. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
there has to be, for your own preservation and mental health, there has to be a balance between like your life does need to go on, but you're also trying to get justice maybe for someone, or if you truly know who hurt, who caused the
Mm-hmm.
pain, and you want them to get justice, like how do you let that go?
I
So
don't
I
think you
can
ever let it
understand.
go if it's your child, but you have to learn how to live with it, I
Yeah.
guess.
Something
But
that I
then, yeah,
hope we never have to
there's
deal with.
also things that where you accept something just so you can be like, okay,
Exactly. It's like,
yeah,
if you're holding on to anger, that only hurts you. And I'm
yeah.
not saying that's like a black and white thing, but
It's
just
kind of like when you know someone's lying to you, and maybe you're like, you know what, the truth is gonna suck more, so I'm just gonna accept that you're lying to me and accept that as truth.
like
Like, you
like
know,
I'm
but
done. I'm leaving.
yeah,
But whatever.
yeah.
Mhm.
Are you speaking from personal experience?
Yes, exactly. Where you're like,
What?
okay, yeah.
So now we're gonna get sorry, my nose is so itchy. We're gonna get into the like infuriating questions that I feel like we're all asking. Some of you guys have even mentioned these already. So
Some of you guys,
some of you
some
guys,
of you guys out there have
some of
already
you
mentioned
guys,
this.
some of the
Yes, I'm
listeners
sure people
listening.
listening are thinking of things and saying them out loud or
I
in
do
their
find
heads.
myself doing that. And I'm like, am I weird for speaking out loud? Like they can't hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are many things that did not happen or not
Mhm.
properly addressed, which leave many questions left unanswered, some of which you guys
Mm.
have brought up. Now,
Mhm.
these guys are from industrial Cape Breton, growing up with trains in their literal backyard. They were very
Oh my
familiar with the
God,
dangers of
fair.
trains. What?
I said, oh my God, fair. Like,
Yeah, like
mhm.
Steel City, man. Like trains were
Yeah.
like trains are freaking everywhere, especially in the 70s when things were still kind of going. They were
Mhm.
very familiar with the dangers of trains, and they have even known people in their own community who had lost limbs and lives from getting hit by a train. Now, does that mean that dumb kids, and if you're 20, you're still a kid, are not going to make dumb decisions? Yes. Like I
Yes.
know I've walked along train tracks and like I know I have. I've never thought about sleeping down on one, but so it's not impossible because kids are dumb and they make very poor decisions, but I still don't think that you would choose to sleep on the tracks ever,
I'm
ever, ever.
no, I'm sorry. A
Yeah.
20-year-old is still able to be like, this isn't smart.
Walking
Mhm.
A
along them,
17-year-old is still able
sure.
to be like, this isn't smart.
Like
My
this
To
is
lay and
only
sleep
way I
across
could
the train
think that they
tracks.
might is if they thought they were abandoned, but
but how
what
would you know that?
exactly? They would have
So
no
just
Yeah.
reason to
They don't live
know
there.
that.
okay. This brings me to point number 2. Now, the way the boys were placed on the tracks, and again, this is based on the 2 eyewitnesses. So is it
Mhm.
like a 100% certainty? No. But this is what the conductor and the fireman said they saw. In a space, the width of the tracks, about 4 feet and 8 inches, they were spooning. So they were spooning each other in
Mm.
that space, all side by side. So they were not head to toe, head to toe, head to toe. They were crotch to butt, crotch to butt, crotch to butt. 3 teenagers, 3 teenage boys
Mm-hmm.
So this just seems incredibly odd. Number one, even just most basically, it's not comfortable. You're on wooden beams and gravel.
Right.
Mhm.
And I just find it extremely unlikely that three young men in the 70s would be spooning each
cuddling?
other.
Yeah.
And
And
it's not like it's
eh,
a raging snowstorm. What are we
right,
gonna
I was
do?
gonna
It's
say it's
freezing.
July,
It's
so like
summer.
they probably if anything want to be away from each other. Like I
And
don't
Yeah.
want to spoon someone
and
in
I can
July.
imagine having like the sleeping bag still because
Mhm.
you want something underneath your body,
Comfy, yeah.
but
Mhm.
the sleeping bags also come into play a little bit. So I just am not jiving with any of this.
Ugh.
Point number 3, Lindsay. Body temperatures were not taken when the medical personnel arrived on the scene. Now, this could have confirmed whether or not the boys were alive at the
Well,
time of
yeah.
impact or if they were already deceased. They made
Mm.
so many snap judgments like, wow, what a
Mm.
terrible accident, that
Ah.
it was never. I thought that every death that's suspicious is treated as such until you know for sure.
Yeah,
But again,
no.
That's what I would have thought.
70s
Especially
It should
under
be.
these circumstances.
70s
I
small
would say
town.
even now it's not
I guess
always
it
that
depends on
way.
who the victim is, right?
We've heard things, so yeah.
The conductor and the fireman, who again, not that these are saints, but I don't think that they would have any reason to lie about any of this. Like, imagine that's traumatic. They're under the belief right now that they've killed 3 boys by an accident.
Yeah.
Like, that's horrendous.
Yeah.
So the conductor and fireman aboard the train stated that as soon as they saw the sleeping bags, they blew the horn constantly and continuously until impact.
Of course they did.
There was no
Mm.
movement whatsoever.
There's
Now-
no way those boys were sound.
Now,
Right.
but like now I have a counterpoint later. Like it's really messed up. So it was calculated. It would have been only about 4 seconds of hearing that horn. That's not a lot of time. But
Mhm.
if I am sleeping or lying down and
And
I
I-
hear a giant train horn and
Yeah.
they're 4 seconds away,
Yeah, you'd still jump up.
I would
or
at least start
something.
to move.
Even
like
if they didn't make it off the track in time, I think there would have been movement.
Movement.
no
yeah.
movement, Lindsay. None.
Yeah. And what's the odds that all 3 of them sleep so soundly that they can't hear a train like
Spooning. Like
feet away?
I don't. None of it quite makes sense to me. Okay.
Mhm.
I have a few subpoints to that. There was another podcast which did a lot of great research, and I'm actually gonna listen to the episode after. I think she's based in New England, so I'm like already and it's called Murder She Told. Is it like Murder She
cute.
Wrote?
Oh, okay.
Love
I'm all
that.
on board. Just
Mhm.
to those that don't know, which I think is no one knows this. My husband loves Murder She Wrote. Like he'll watch it as as a comfort show, and I'll watch them too. And they're just so.
This
It's like-
explains your love so much.
It's like Hallmark, but like make it crime. And it's just the stories and the makeup. Oh my god. Anyway, it's lovely. Okay, so this podcaster in her research spoke about a new segment done in 2017, which spoke of recent train deaths, which there was a lot, by the way, and how quiet trains can actually be. Some of the victims mentioned in the video were sometimes struck by trains while actively walking on tracks, awake during the day, and they didn't hear the train. The reporter also was shocked at how close the train got before he could hear it. I have the video linked. It's a little bit long. The segment itself is not long, but I suggest that you watch it because it is
Okay.
wild.
And these are trains in the States.
yeah, but I mean, like a train's a train.
so
you
like
know.
some
No,
weird
I could imagine
phenomena
like
where
Japan, where they
Oh,
would have
yeah.
better technology than
Yeah.
like when I think of trains, I think of the train that goes across here, and I
Like,
can
chicka,
hear it
chicka,
like
chicka,
from my
chicka,
house.
choo, choo.
And obviously, a passenger
Right.
train is never going to quite get as fast as a freight train.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if that has any difference. But I mean, God, on my route
Yeah.
home,
But this is
a-
the 70s, so I
yeah,
assume
a
the
little kid was
trains-
killed very recently at one of the
Oh my God.
the pedestrian slash car what's it called passes
Crossing?
crossings there. Oh my
Crossing?
God,
Train
talking about
crossing?
trains, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I can't recall exactly what happened, but it was just it's just road.
Some road rage out there right now.
Speaking of road. And I think the story was that he was with his kid brother and they were on scooters, and it could have been something like they
Wow.
didn't realize, or was like a, hey, I dare
Mm.
you to do this. But like such a senseless death. Like now this young kid is killed by a train.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's crazy how often it happens. It's not just the 70s.
Yeah, you can't
like,
mess around with.
hell
train-
no.
train
You in a
tracks.
train, you're never going to win.
No.
Another thing we kind of touched on is this was at 7 a.m. This is in July. Sunrise is
Mhm.
about 5 a.m. I should know because I run in the morning. At 5 a.m. the sun comes up. So think about 2 hours roughly, not like straight on heat, but like it's
In the
sunny, it's
sun,
warm, it's
yeah.
summer. The sleeping bags were purported to be zipped up completely around the
No.
heads.
No.
That's not
What?
100%
No.
Zipping their whole
confirmed.
head in.
So they're spooning on the tracks. They don't move, and the sleeping bags apparently are zipped up all the way around their head.
How could they tell that they were spooning if the
Because the conductor
sleeping
saw
bags-
them, and they were like in a row across.
and
in
like
front.
you could see the body imprint
And maybe
through
some
the...
stuff was left on the tracks.
I'm assuming that was his perception. I think you would be able to tell if the grouping was longer, as if they were like again head to foot, head to foot, head to foot.
Yeah, but I mean, they could have been lying on their backs as well, like with their heads resting in like a...
But
But probably
within
some stuff that the
position.
train went over would have
But within
stayed.
a 4.5
Mm.
foot width, like 3 people cannot lay on their backs within 4.5 feet.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Were
So
they
like
going
maybe they're
across or in?
They were in between the two metal rails.
Oh, I thought they were across the metal rails.
Yeah. I
No,
thought
they
so
were
too,
lying
first
like
two.
parallel to the tracks.
Mm. Okay.
I mean,
So,
the
yeah.
whole thing doesn't make any sense. Lastly, if you recall, there's only about $5 in cash that was recovered from the boys in total. That's kind of weird. A friend of Kenny had shared a story that after the fact, that he, Kenny, and maybe Terry had pooled a bunch of money together to purchase a larger quantity of drugs on the state side. This is where that maybe drug deal kind of came in.
Mm-hmm.
Roy Hunt, who was the driver who picked up the hitchhikers, he was the last one to see the boys alive. He had also told a family member of Kenny's, who ends up being Kenny's brother, that he saw the boys with a roll of money, counting the money.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yes, it doesn't really make sense to want to do this with $5. Even in the 70s, that's not going to take.
and
you
if
very
someone
far.
says they
Yeah.
were maybe going to buy drugs, or even if the drugs were involved, but they had money together, where's the money?
Mhm.
Where'd the money go?
and the
so
drugs
af-
aren't with them, so they didn't
No,
already
well,
pick
so
up the
obviously, so
drugs.
if that even was part of it, they obviously
Yeah.
hadn't got to that part, but they had cash, even if it was not hundreds and hundreds. Because I saw in some articles that said that it could have been up to like $600, which in the 70s is not nothing. But the fact that there's a reputable witness who says like I saw them with a substantial amount of cash, which could have just been from like we're going to be hitchhiking, camping. We need food.
Yeah.
It could have just been money to live on, but like then now there's none. Like where is all that money gone? They found $5.
Right.
There's nothing else.
Yeah, because if they were looking for jobs somewhere as well, it could have been to
Right. Which
stay
again,
somewhere.
we don't know.
Do we have any proof that when the boys were dropped off, that they were dropped off unharmed?
Well, like that's the thing. Now there was the other hitchhiker in the car, so that's two eyewitnesses that say we dropped off the guys at the spot. But like Lindsay, to your point, no, there's no cameras, there's no multiple people. There's two people, but like you're assuming that they've been checked out. But I mean, assuming
Right, if
here.
they're not lying.
There's never been anything that I can read where these guys
also,
were.
who's picking up 4 hitchhikers?
Well, he already had
a lot.
one. He already had one.
Yeah.
Roy had one. And then he sees these 3 guys. And he's like, you know what? Sure. So I don't find that as
Okay.
suspicious. But I
not
feel
for
like
the time.
but I feel like we're
still.
missing something. There was something that I had read where they were at like this a convenience store, like ice cream shop or something, and maybe there were people around. Maybe someone saw them with money. Maybe someone overheard them, and so that's what I'm thinking. Well, we can get into it in a second. After reading many different articles on the story, I also find it very odd that at the most basic, why did they choose to sleep on the tracks instead of the soft grass? And why right after a huge blind curve? If there was a large straight stretch,
Yeah.
maybe, okay, well, I'm sure this track is abandoned because I have no reason to know that, but I'm sure that it is. But let's sleep away from the corner. That way, if something does come, we have time to get up. But they were right after a
But
blind
also,
curve.
like you said, why are they in the why aren't they in the grass? Why
It
aren't they
wasn't
somewhere
raining.
comfortable? Why aren't they? Yeah, and
Right.
it's also this just
And they're
just
zipping up their
screams
whole
somebody's trying to get rid
sleeping
of evidence.
bag
Now, again, the
in
sleeping bag
July.
being zipped up to the top, that we don't know for sure because
Yeah.
everything was just
The
shredded.
only thing I could think of is maybe if there was like bugs everywhere, but
There's
still,
gonna be
like,
bugs
if you can't
anywhere.
breathe,
I'd
you're
rather
sleeping
breathe
Yeah.
bags
and
of
deal with
death.
bugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Lorne Novak, who was the older brother of Kenny, had created a handmade memorial plaque for the boys out of steel, and then he
Mm.
welded, I forget the term, but like beads, like he welded beads of metal. Anyway, I'll show you a photo later. And he had all the boys' names on it and the dates of their death. And only recently in 2020, he had it installed near the spot where the boys were hit, at a spot where all of the train conductors could see it,
Oh,
just like as a
Wow.
memoriam. There
yeah.
are so many questions that will never get answered. And I think we've covered most of them. And almost 56 years later, like in 1 month, it's 56 years ago,
Damn.
the
Wow.
family members and friends that are left behind just try to focus on the good memories of Terry, Kenny, and David. And
That's
that is the story.
Wow. That's
Did
I mean,
a
this is really sad,
I
obviously,
know.
but it's just a shame that they didn't properly investigate it at the time
yeah.
because
You
now
can't go
there's
back and
really
get those temperatures.
No.
no. I'm
So
not sure what other
that's
kind of decomposition testing they could have done at that point, but
that's the only thing I really could think of,
ugh.
because if the body is damaged to that, like, and again, I didn't go into the details. I read some stuff and I wish I hadn't, because it was very, oh, sorry, my cat's trying to get out. 1 second. When bodies are in the state that I read about, which again, I recommend you don't do it, there's really not much you can do. But not to be morbid, I mean, as long as like the anus is intact and maybe like the
Yeah.
liver, they could have gotten a core body temp.
Yeah.
I think they went in right away
Even if one
thinking,
of the bodies was intact enough
well, and
to
it
get
and
the
it was one
Mhm.
of the boys was more or less in a better state, and the other two, which I'm like, if they were all parallel in the tracks, I don't know why one would be better shape than others, but two of the boys, it was like bad, 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 bad.
yeah.
But again, all you need, I think, again, I don't know, but there are certain organs, right, that you can insert a thermometer and you can get a reading. So
Mhm.
they just went in right away thinking, wow, what an accident. Terrible. Oh, they're Canadian. Let's get them out of here.
Yeah, my gut is saying that this is way too suspicious for them for something else to have not happened. Like, there's just no way I think they're gonna do that. And they're going to zip up their sleeping bags. They're gonna sleep on the track, and not one of them. I know the theory about they couldn't maybe hear it, but I don't know. It's so close. Like, it is so loud. You'd think that at least one of them would like jump up or move.
Or even stir. Like
Yeah.
something.
Something.
So here's what I think happened. Complete
Mhm.
speculation with virtually no evidence, because this is the 70s and no one investigated back then. Therefore, now there was nothing to follow up on. They were picked up at some kind of, like I said, convenience store, like little cafe kind of spot. And if they had money, even if it was just for themselves, let's say drugs were not even involved, one of the boys had kind of been like seeing this girl very casually who lived in Halifax, but then might have been in Washington for like the summer. So she gave him her Washington address. So their people had heard them mention Washington. So they could have just been like, let's go on an adventure. Let's just see where we go. Maybe we go to Washington. Like maybe it was kind of open ended. So even if drugs were involved and they had money just to travel, like just to pay for the odd hotel and food and whatever, if someone saw that they were looking rough, because they were described as like a little unkept, because they were literally hiking, hitchhiking, camping in the woods, you know,
They're teenage boys.
13, well, I mean,
Like,
one's 20, but like, yeah, like they're
yes.
young
Yeah.
kids. So I think someone saw an opportunity to very quickly rob these kids. And I don't know if it was like they were followed into the woods. Apparently there are some, at least now, I don't know about the 70s, but you would assume, some like logging roads and like ATV roads, they're not paved. They're just dirt, that were kind of in and around that area. So it's not improbable that someone on a, ATV or an off-road vehicle or a motorcycle or something could have followed these kids, followed them into the woods. And it could be as simple as some fucking asshole killed these kids for like a couple $100.
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean, we've
thought,
heard of that before where it's been a very
100%.
small amount of money that somebody has ended up
Yeah.
being murdered for. So it wouldn't be completely out of the realm of possibility. Or
And
if it was drugs, a drug deal gone bad, which
another
could
classic.
happen.
Imagine
Especially when you think
too.
these are 3 kids who
But
probably no one's
usually,
going to
I
look
don't know, like
for.
you're going to go in the middle of, this looks pretty rural Maine for
So
your
they were
drug
they
deal.
were
Like,
likely following the roads and the tracks heading south to get to wherever. So it could have been Washington. We don't really know exactly where. But if they were using that as a guide, I can see them walking along the tracks to follow the path.
Yeah, to
But
follow
a
the path, but
local
also stay away from like potential
was
police and
Timony
stuff like that.
crossing where they're supposed to potentially get the drugs?
No, that was just a spot on the map where the reporters were using it as like a landmark. Like they were just north
Oh,
of
okay.
this like spot.
Okay.
And a crossing, as we've learned, is when a railroad crosses a road, which I think I knew
Mhm.
deep down. I just keep going back to like, yeah, a local would likely know this railroad section is heavily used. And this was like a routine. It wasn't like a random train. Like I think this train was coming down this path pretty frequently. So if someone did something bad and they wanted to like, what's an easy way to kind of cover up these 3 murders that I've done?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's why I said it's a pretty good way to get rid of evidence.
100%. Like a train just like decimated these poor kids. But it doesn't read as natural at all to me.
And it doesn't
No.
sound like they were in some suicide pact either.
That was
So
also brought up. And no, there
Yeah.
are better ways than what to lay down on the tracks and wait for a train to kill you overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that doesn't make any sense. So
So what are your theories, listeners? I'm assuming that most of you are going to probably fit into this thinking that it was either
There's no way
Um,
they'd have only
murder, like-
$5 on them and no drugs if that
There's
was
no way.
they were buying. So
like I don't know, but I know.
$5
Mhm.
between 3 boys.
Now still in the
That doesn't make
70s. You know
sense.
what? Let me look that up. How much is that? 1 second.
it's not crazy amount more. It's probably a little
yeah,
bit.
It's probably like equal to like 15 or 20.
Also, it's Canadian. So it's
Yeah.
even less.
Maybe the exchange rate wasn't so
$5.
bad then.
Yeah.
There has been times where it's been on par.
Oh wait, I typed in
Long time ago.
1960 by accident.
Yeah, I remember when I worked at a hotel, it was on par and the Americans were upset.
Okay, guys, this is so brutal. It would be about $43 today.
No.
That's nothing.
Oh.
Now, obviously, the purchasing power of that was still way more than $40 today, but that's nothing. Like that
I
could
mean,
be like
if
a
we
night
went
at a
out with
hotel.
$43, I would be like, all right, let's share one margarita.
Let's go to
Yeah.
Costco. We'll each get a hot dog.
I will eat all the free snacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is my super bummed out case.
Okay,
But
It's
well,
really
I consider this
really
unsolved
sad.
because it does not
Yeah,
seem clear
for
cut
sure.
at all.
That's-
yeah.
That's not a real solved. That's a we wanted to get this off our desk solved.
Yeah. We want to just
Yeah.
get
It's
them
a
back
shame
to Canada.
that they didn't give this a proper investigation at the time.
It really is.
Has
And
anyone
just-
ever tried to open the case again?
Well, there is a friend of the group who knew, I think, one of the kids really, really well. And he's still around today. His name is Ken Jessam. And I used some of his articles from his blog, I guess. And, no one's interested in opening, but he's written about it a lot. And so he kind of keeps the momentum. And in classic Nova Scotia fashion, there is a Facebook group, which is still
Okay.
fairly active. But it's a lot of just people, don't forget that this happened, but not that anything could actually be done. Like, what could you possibly do? I think all the
Yeah.
boys were buried, even if you went like DNA, but there's nothing left.
Did they even
Like,
keep anything? They probably wouldn't have kept anything if they thought it was like
well, because remember they were
open and
told
shut
it's an
case.
accident. So
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
resolution.
Yay.
Yay.
Kids, so you'd think about are probably like around our parents' age. Would have been our parents' age
Yeah.
today. So
Well, or a
Yeah.
little bit older even, because in the 70s,
well,
if
my
they're
parents
15,
are older, so
well, maybe close
Probably
to
my
Lizzie's
parents.
parents'
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
but it's just it's really sad.
My
and-
mom says that so she was about 10 years old when this happened, and she just remembers her parents just really coming down hard to be like, this is where I tell you never to go near the train tracks, just like reinstating what everyone
and
already knows.
also don't go hitchhiking.
No,
or lie
they
to me.
still did that. Like
Oh.
that wasn't the issue. The issue
Well,
was not
don't
the
tell me you're
hitchhiking.
going to the beach and then you're going to another country.
Yeah.
Like, come
That's
on.
fair. That's a good one.
I know it's not
Yeah.
as dramatic as like, get on a plane, but still, like you're
Yeah.
crossing a border illegally. Like, what are these kids thinking? Anyway,
Yeah.
so Anyway, that's it. So you're
I
so
don't know if it would
welcome.
be illegal though, because you're still allowed to cross. At that time, they didn't have
They
to
had
have
no
a passport.
They could
They
have had a
didn't need a
passport.
passport. You did not need a
Yeah,
passport to cross in the
no.
70s.
Well, they didn't have
No.
one. They
Yeah.
didn't even go
So
anything
that's why I don't know if
official.
it would have been illegal for them to go.
I think you still
ID,
needed
so-
to show like ID, but no, you didn't need a passport.
Oh, and if I
Mhm.
didn't bring it up, there's also no ID found. Like I think I mentioned that. There's no ID found at all. So was that
So really, it was
stolen?
just that label in the sleeping bag.
Just heartbreaking.
Well,
Yeah.
This is really sad,
Okay.
Megan.
Yep.
Thanks.
Sorry.
We should have had Chantal prep jokes.
Yeah. What were we thinking? My watch has told me that I've been sitting too long.
Well, I'm gonna go eat dinner, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to think about something nice because this is really sad. And
It is.
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Well,
and I also started watching Widow's Bay, and
What?
I
Yes,
Oh, I
I
need to
started.
start
I watched
that.
the first one.
I love the energy. It's like so
Couldn't-
quirky.
Could
Yeah,
I get
it's like a
to be in on it? Do you
it's a
think you
comedy
could-
horror, so I think so.
Okay, maybe. Maybe.
The dean might ask you 1,000 fucking questions.
I mean, I always have to prepare myself for that. So
Ask him to
if it
write his
gets-
questions down while you're watching. That way, you can address them later.
I don't know how this man wants to go to a movie theater to watch movies because he's like always. I'm like,
He's
we
not-
can't
tell him
pause
he's
it
not
at
ready.
the theaters. Like we can't pause it so you can ask questions. Like we just have to go with the flow here. So,
know.
anyways,
just you're a treasure, Chantel. Like just so proud of you for just sticking.
Maybe he
it
needs
through and doing
subtitles. Have you
this.
tried subtitles with him?
Oh,
no,
we have
they're
to.
on. Yeah, they're on.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Uh,
Well, I don't know how to
yeah.
help anymore.
I
Yeah,
can't
know.
hear unless I can read it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's okay.
We have to stop being friends. We have to go.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
all hungry.
Okay.
Okay.
See you next week.
Thanks.
Someone
Starting our
cover
Monday
something
this
happy
I'll-
for the love of God.
It's me.
Okay.
What am I doing? Okay, I'll figure something out.
Okay.
Something not
Okay.
tragic.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening today. We loved having you. If you liked the episode, share with your friends, family, or anyone who would enjoy it. Also, take a moment to review our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leaving us a like or comment really helps. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, please visit our coffee page at www.ko-fi.com/coastfiles. Email us at coastfilespod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at coastfilespod, or visit our website at www.coastfiles.com. You can find the sources for today's episode on our website. See you next week with a new episode.